The Ondaime Hokage, Minato Namikaze, held a bundle in his arm. Smiling down at it, seeing as it was his son, Naruto. The roar of the Kyuubi no Yoko broke through this peaceful scene, causing Minato to focus, laying Naruto down in a bed with Kushina. "I'll be right back, you two, stay safe." With that, Minato disappeared in a yellow flash, appearing on his own head on the Hokage stone heads. He watched the Kyuubi fighting his ninjas and the Sandaime Hokage. He was about to go out there to battle the Nine Tails, though he felt something pulling him backward. Turning back with a throw of his three-pronged kunai, he saw the masked man as he vanished in a yellow flash, appearing in a clearing where he fought the said masked man and released his contract on the Kyuubi. Minato returned to the village, appearing above the massive tailed beast with the chief Gamabunta crushing it down. He then vanished in a large yellow flash. Minato let Gamabunta battle Kyuubi while he went and got Kushina and Naruto. He returned in a flash and placed Naruto in the middle of a large ceiling area that he had placed already. The Kyuubi was fighting the chief Toad, landing a clean slash over his eyes, causing him to poof away. He glared down at the humans, letting out another loud roar, though when his eyes landed on the baby it made him confused. The boy had deep power inside him that the Kyuubi knew. He felt his father, Ashura, Indra, and Kaguya. Minato saw the Kyuubi's hesitation in movement, and that's all he needed, speeding through hand signs before he slammed his hands together. Shiki Fujin. Reaper Death Seal. The spectral image of the Reaper tore into existence behind him, clutching its blade with a dark smile on its face, reaching its hand out as it grabbed the full Kyuubi and sealed it inside of the young boy. Minato saw this and his eyes widened. He wanted to split it in half. He stared up at death, seeing him smiling down at him before his soul was cut, and he dropped his last words before he was sent inside the belly of the Shinigami. "Protect him, Kushina." Kushina held the crying baby in her arms, crying herself. She didn't realize when Anbu surrounded her, the Sandaime leading them. "Lord Hokage is dead, Sandaime-sama." The cat-masked Anbu spoke, picking up the fourth's body as with a simple order from the Sandaime and re-elected Hokage she would body flicker away. "Lady Kushina, we need to take you and your young to the hospital," a dog-masked Anbu said, walking with her to the hospital. Even as an Anbu, Hatake Kakashi still cried just a little. Scene change, Naruto's mind. The Kyuubi lay behind a cage formed by the seal, surrounded by a void of swirling mist and faint glimmers of light, like stars trapped in the dark. He wasn't snarling or pacing. Instead, he stared forward calmly at the four figures standing before him. Even with all his power, there was a certain weariness in his eyes. Kaguya stood like a phantom, her long white hair floating around her, eyes emotionless and cold. Indra crossed his arms, silent but sharp-eyed, while Ashura looked irritated, as if he'd already been arguing. Hagoromo stood at the center, calm and observant. "You all got reincarnated inside of this kit?" Kurama said, voice deep and unreadable. "It seems we have, Kurama," Hagoromo replied. "Fate has brought us together again." Kaguya tilted her head slightly. "Ah. I see now. This is what you did with the 10 tails, Hagoromo. I can sense them all. Interesting." "Grandma is here too?" Ashura muttered, annoyed. "And I thought Indra was bad." "Be quiet, you idiot," Indra snapped. "Just because we're inside a child's mind doesn't mean I won't fight you." Kurama's massive eyes narrowed slightly as he looked at the four of them. Hagoromo was cautious, and so was he. The presence of his mother unsettled them both. If they were to remain within the boy for as long as he lived, they'd need to coexist, even if they hated it. A moment passed in tense silence. "For now," Hagoromo said, "we wait. But one day, the boy will awaken. And when he does, the world must be ready." Time skip, age 3. "You got this, Naru-chan. Don't be scared, mommy's right here, okay?" Naruto fidgeted with his sleeves, eyes wide as he looked up at the tall tree. "Okay. But what if I fall?" "I'll catch you, Naru. You're a big boy, remember?" "Yeah. You're right." His face lit up with a smile. Kushina laughed softly as she watched him walk up to the tree. He was focused, unusually so for a 3-year-old. Concentrating his chakra, Naruto began to walk up the trunk. His steps were a little shaky at first, but soon he was walking vertically, rising all the way to the top. When he turned to look down, his mother was staring in surprise. "You did it," she cheered. "Have you been practicing when I wasn't looking, mister?" "No. I've just been studying how to walk on stuff." "Hee hee. All right, let's go celebrate. Ramen. Ramen. Ramen." Naruto jumped down, landing in Kushina's arms with a happy giggle. The Uzumaki family lived a peaceful life, even after the Kyuubi attack. The Sundaime Hokage had announced that the young Naruto was the vessel of the Kyuubi no Yoko and a hero instead of the beast itself. When villagers and some ninjas didn't agree and even tried to mutter the world demon, they found out why Kushina Uzumaki was called the Red Death. She had to kill 35 villagers that called her son a demon. We now see the two Ichiraku with large smiles on their faces, slurping down ramen almost like a race while they laugh together. You made him little you, Kushina. Believe me or not, Tsuchijiji. His first words were ramen, Kushina said with a smile while looking at Naruto eating. She then realized she was losing the race, causing everyone to burst out in happy laughter. 2 years later, Naruto's 5th birthday. Konoha, early morning. Konohagakure was already alive with color. Red streamers danced in the wind, stalls lined the streets with freshly grilled food, and posters of a grinning blonde holding up the peace sign were everywhere. Today wasn't just a birthday. It was Uzumaki Naruto Day. The day the boy who saved the village from the Kyuubi was born. Vendors handed out free food to villagers. Ninjas in uniform offered warm smiles. Even Anbu in masks gave silent nods to the boy who had done what no one else could, hold back the Kyuubi and survive. Inside the Uzumaki household, Naruto squirmed while Kushina tried to comb his messy hair. It's my birthday, I should look cool. Not fancy. You look cool when you're neat, Naru-chan. Now hold still or no birthday cake. I'll let Sasuke eat it. Naruto froze and his eyes widened in the mirror, meeting his mom's gaze as he saw she was just laughing. You're evil. Kushina continued to laugh, having to control herself as she smiled down at her son. Red Death, remember? Outside, people gathered. Children shouted, "Where's Naruto?" The villagers lit sparkles early even though the real fireworks weren't till sundown. Back with Naruto and Kushina, Kushina finally gave up on Naruto's hair, ruffling it into his normal hair with a slight sigh. Got there with your crazy porcupine style. Naruto stuck out his tongue, grabbing his goggles and ran out of the door, making Kushina shake her head and laugh lightly, thinking about Minato watching them both. Outside, the street in front of their home was already packed with villagers. Cheers broke out the moment the door opened. Happy birthday Naruto. There he is. Hey hero. Naruto beamed, waving both hands. His red Uzumaki hoodie flapped in the wind as he ran down the stairs of the Uzumaki compound into a crowd of familiar faces. Iruka, Tucci, even some Chunin and Jounin that came for his past birthdays. Yo, Naruto. Sasuke stood leaning against a tree, arms crossed with a smirk. You took long enough. Naruto grinned. Had to survive my mom first. She tried to assassinate my hair. Behind them, Mikado Uchiha approached, arm in arm with Kushina. Both women looked proud and battle-worn, legends in their own right. It was thanks to their brutal honesty and strength during the Uchiha Council's corrupt coup d'etat plans. 2 years prior, the Uchiha clan planned to destroy and take over the Leaf. The two Kunoichi discovered this, and with the help of Itachi Uchiha they put an end to the corrupt council. Boys, Mikado said, hands on her hips. Don't run off too far. The Hokage is coming soon. Yeah, Naruto and Sasuke both said at the same time, fist bumping each other with a slight smirk on their faces. I'll race you to the festival. Oh, you're on Naruto. That's when both boys sprinted off toward the festival, laughing and leaving dust in their wake. Scene change, later that night, Uzumaki compound. The Uzumaki compound, once quiet and proud, was alive with celebration. Red and gold paper lanterns floated gently above, their glow casting warm hues across the expensive courtyard. The ancestral garden paths had been lit with chakra-powered lights, and a soft melody from live musicians filled with air. Even the clan's whirlpool-shaped crest had been polished and hung proudly above the gate. Today wasn't just a birthday. It was Uzumaki Naruto Day. The whole village had been invited to celebrate within the heart of the Uzumaki legacy. In the center of the main courtyard, a long banquet table stretched end-to-end stacked with gifts, trays of food, and handcrafted sweets. At its head sat the star of the evening, Uzumaki Naruto, the 5-year-old beaming with happiness and shining just like a star. A massive banner hung over him, emblazoned with his smiling face in bold calligraphy that read, Uzumaki Naruto, our son, our savior. A cheer roared through the compound. Happy birthday Naruto. Naruto's face turned red, but his grin didn't fade. This was more than a party, it was love he could feel in every laugh, every hug, every bite of food. Gathered around him was his best friends, the children of Konoha's greatest clans. Sasuke Uchiha sat beside him, arms crossed, pretending to be unimpressed. DCH, it's just a party. But the hint of a smile betrayed him. Shikamaru groaned. Troublesome crowd, at least the dango is worth it. Choji didn't answer, mouth stuffed with fried dumplings. Ino tossed her hair. Remember, Naruto, prettiest girl, best gift. She winked, handing him a bright blue bouquet. Hinata stood off to the side, nervously clutching a small red scarf that she just got down knitting. With the help of her mother she shyly gave it to Naruto. Kiba zipped between tables, trying to get his present for Naruto open first, though his mother grabbed him and took him inside so he could sit down somewhere. Shino stood by Shikamaru, quietly sipping from a tiny juice box as his kikaiku buzzed around him with a faint light, his version of party lights. Even several of the adults had come to honor the boy who had unknowingly saved them all. Might Guy challenged Naruto to a ramen eating contest. When he lost he would challenge himself to do 1,000 push-ups in 20 seconds. Kurenai brought a calming gift of lavender-scented charms. Asuma passed Naruto a box of scrolls and kunais. This is for training only kid. The usually smoking Jounin said, slightly smiling down at Naruto before he went back to join the adults. Iruka ruffled Naruto's hair and flicked his forehead lightly with a grin. You're growing up fast, Naruto. You'll be Hokage in no time. You think so, Iruka-sensei? I am the one and only Uzumaki Naruto after all. Iruka laughed with Naruto, before he's seen his big brother figure Kakashi walking up, which made Naruto run and jump in his arms. Hey Naruto, am I late to the party? You're right on time, Kakashi-ni-san. I have a present for you, so, get down please. Naruto only nervously grinned, jumping down off of Kakashi as he smiled up at him. Happy birthday Naruto. Kakashi pulled out a scroll behind his back. It was a storage scroll which had a custom-made Tando inside it. Kakashi would apply chakra to the scroll, causing it to open and let the Tanto be seen. The handle was red and black while the blade was a glowing black. Thank you Kakashi-ni. You're welcome, Naruto. Kakashi lightly ruffled his hair before taking him to the main event. From the side doors of the compound's kitchen, Tuchi and Ayame emerged with a monstrous 3-layer ramen cake, steam rising from each tier, golden narutomaki spiraling along the edges. Naruto's eyes widened. No way. Kushina walked beside him, crouching as she did, voice soft and proud. This is all yours Naru-chan. His lip quivered, jumping on his mother with a teary-eyed smile, making everyone say a combined awe. This is the best birthday ever. Thank you so much mom. Hee hee, let's dig into the cake. Naruto gets the first cut. Everyone surrounded Naruto as they watched him cut the cake, going to take a bite before Kushina and Sasuke pushed his head in the cake, which covered his entire face in it, making everyone at the party burst out in laughter. Kushina cleaned the cake off of Naruto's face while still laughing, going to eat her own piece of cake. Then Naruto did the same thing to her, which made everyone else once again burst out in laughter. The kids and adults all ate some cake at least, leaving one last layer that Kushina kept in the fridge. That's when the Sandaime Hokage walked up with a grandfatherly smile. I'm happy to see you've had a great birthday Naruto my boy. Hokage Gigi. It was awesome and so fun. I bet it was Naruto. I have a present for you my boy. Is it the hat? Not just yet, but because it's your birthday. Hiruzen would take off the Hokage hat and place it carefully on Naruto's head, smiling down at the boy as he did. Hiruzen would pull out a scroll that had the kanji for fourth on it, giving it to Naruto as he smiled. Now put your chakra into the scroll my boy. Alright Gigi. Naruto did as he said, putting chakra in the scroll as he saw it puffed out a box that had multiple 3-pronged kunai on the flying Raijin steps. The only members of the party knew a secret that the villagers didn't. Kushina and Hiruzen only told a select few of people that Naruto was the son of Minato Namikaze. I'd trust your mother to help you learn your father's technique when you're older my beau. Hiruzen didn't get to finish. Naruto had hugged him while sniffing and blowing snot into his Hokage robes. Thank you Gigi, thank you. Naruto was surrounded by the clan children, and their parents, all of them hugging Naruto as well. The party would continue for another few hours until all the children had either fallen asleep or had to go home. In the Uzumaki compound it was only Kushina and Naruto once again. Kushina would be in the living room with Naruto, giving him his last birthday gift. I have one last gift for you, Naru-chan, Kushina said as she smiled at her son, taking out a scroll that had the whirlpool shape of the Uzumaki on it. Kushina would push some of her chakra into the scroll, causing a stack of red leather books that showed the Uzumaki whirlpool symbol. This is the Uzumaki Fuinjutsu, books 1 through 10. Naruto's eyes widened. He knew that his mother knew sealing jutsu, but he didn't expect he had to learn it. Our clan's true strength wasn't just our chakra and longevity, Naruto. It was our mastery of sealing. These books were made by the Sage of Sixth Paths himself, given to the first Uzumaki and passed on through the family, and now, it's yours. When you're ready I'll help you. Naruto carefully held the books to his chest, smiling at his mother, though he noticed there was another item in the scroll. What's that mom? Kushina only smiled, pulling out the wrapped blade as she cleared her throat. This is the Crimson Fang. A blade forged by our ancestors, sealed with Uzumaki chakra. Only someone of Uzumaki blood has a chance of awakening its true power. Even when I tried, I couldn't. Naruto blinked, looking confused as the blade. So, what does it do? Kushina smiled mysteriously, kind of scaring Naruto in the process. That's for you to find out, when the time comes. Naruto reached out and gently touched the cloth-wrapped hilt. The silk pulsed faintly with warmth, like it was alive, and waiting. He looked at her with a smile, putting the sword back on the seal before using chakra and sealing it back. Thank you, Mom. She pulled him into her arms and whispered against his hair. One day, you'll be the strongest Uzumaki who ever lived. Not because of power, but because of heart. After that she would pick up Naruto, putting all of his gifts in his room as she would lay him down for bed, kissing him on the forehead as she tucked him in and turned the light off, walking to her own room and falling into slumber. Scene change, Naruto's mindscape. Dreamlike. Vast. Silent. Almost sacred. Naruto stood in an endless space, not dark, not bright, just vast. The floor was rippling water, reflecting the stars above even though there was no sky. Naruto looked down at himself. He wasn't a kid here. His body glowed faintly with golden traces, and his reflection shimmered with power. Older, taller, almost godlike. "Where am I?" he whispered, looking around slightly as he walked forward, but he was stopped by a voice that answered behind him. "Welcome, Naruto." 4 figures slowly came into view, each standing like statues in the mist. One held a shakujo staff, robes flowing like wind, wise eyes full of patience. One wore a battle-worn high-collar cloak with 6 tomoe on the chest, 9 on the back beneath the Otsutsuki clan logo. Another stood in the same outfit, arms crossed, cold and proud, his chakra felt cold and crackling. And the last, a woman. Floating slightly off the ground, hair long as night itself, with horns and pale eyes that made Naruto be reminded of the Hyuga clan. He then saw behind them was a large sleeping fox. Kurama didn't want to be involved in their conversation. Who are you guys?" The staff bearer flew forward, a smile on his face as he had that same grandfather-like smile that the Sandaime gave Naruto. "I am Otsutsuki Hagoromo, the sage of 6th paths." The other walked up or flew on the sides of Hagoromo. "I am Ashura, your boundless spirit and compassion." "I am Indra, your cunning, your fire." "I am Kaguya Otsutsuki, the origin of your bloodline." "All of you are inside me." Kurama's familiar low growl rumbled nearby. The boy had woken him up, causing him to appear from the darkness behind them, calmly sitting like a guardian beast. "You're not just you, brat, you're something that has never been seen before, you're the true reincarnate. All of them in one." Naruto was confused, looking at all of them and trying to find the words, which took a while. "But, I'm me. I'm Naruto." Hagoromo would lightly chuckle while nodding. "You were right. But you are also the convergence of destinies, the vessel of unity." Ashura would smile at Naruto, ruffling his hair a bit. "We aren't here to control you, Indra cut him off. "But if you don't master yourself, you'll be consumed by our power." Kaguya floated closer. She had an unreadable gaze, though it cracked just a bit as she looked at the boy. "The world is changing again. The time will come when you must decide, to save it, or to rule it." Kurama leaned in, eyes glowing. "You have the power of gods, Naruto. But how you use it, that'll decide everything." Naruto looked down at his reflection, slightly clenching his fist before locking eyes with everyone there. "I don't want to be a god, I want to protect my home." Hagoromo smiled at his words. He knew he would say something like that. Placing a single hand on his shoulder as Naruto felt a burst of knowledge, power, spirit, and blood. "You've been gifted with knowledge, power, spirit, and blood. Next time you return here, we will begin. You must walk the right path." Naruto smiled, deep blue eyes looking with the godly eyes of the Rinnegan. "I will." They all smiled at the boy. They had a feeling that he would save the world, though Kaguya would have to warn him about Black Zetsu. Naruto was now able to drift off to sleep, not knowing that his body on the outside had new abilities and godlike chakra and eyes. Unknown to the ninja world, their savior or destroyer has been awoken. Bonds and beginning. The sun poured gently into the Uzumaki compound, spilling golden light across Naruto's bed. He stirred slowly. No nightmares. No dreams. Just silence. Naruto slowly sat up, remembering what he saw in his mind. He could feel the power that Hagoromo gave him, and it made him feel strangely connected to everything. "Morning, Naru-chan," Kushina called from the kitchen. "Come eat before it gets cold." Naruto blinked, shaking the strange feeling off, and smiled. "Coming, Mom." Naruto ran downstairs, jumping into his seat as he had a smile on his face. "After you get done eating, I'll take you to the academy." Kushina said as she smiled at Naruto, putting a plate of eggs, sausage, bacon and biscuits in front of him with some orange juice. "Thank you, Mom." Naruto would eat his food before he stood and washed his own dishes, now waiting at the door with his Canon Academy outfit. "Aren't you ready to go, mister?" Kushina said with a smile. She could see the younger image of Minato and Naruto. Kushina walked up to Naruto, lightly holding his hand as she walked to the academy. "Don't give Iruka too much trouble, okay? Be good, Naru." "Aw, but I was planning a prank to do on him, Mom." Naruto pouted, puffing his cheeks like a chipmunk. Kushina snorted and gave him a gentle bop of the head. "No exploding chalk this time, got it?" "Fine," he muttered, rubbing his head and giving her a cheeky grin. "Maybe just a little one?" The two laughed together, the streets of Konoha lively around them. Shops opened. Birds chirped. Villagers waved warmly as they passed. Whispers of "That's him" and "The hero kid" followed them. Kushina ruffled his hair as they reached the academy gate. "Go show them who you are, my little son." Naruto nodded, then turned to face the building with a determined expression, but something flickered in his eyes. Just for a second. Naruto's eyes became a swirling prism, like galaxies folding into themselves, rings and tomoe dancing in spirals around a star-shaped pupil. "Power, legacy, destiny." He blinked, it vanished. "Weird," Naruto muttered, rubbing his eyes as he walked inside the academy with a cheeky grin. Inside him, the chakra of the sage and his family stirred, seemingly to be chuckling. "What is this mysterious dojutsu?" "Well, let me tell you. Suzogen, Eye of Creation. Born from the fused will of gods and men, it does not simply see the world. It decides how the world can be." Stage 1. Divine Perception. Unlocked at age 5, current story. Naruto's base Suzogen grants him Byakugan abilities, 360 vision, except blind spot, chakra pathway visibility, and telescopic sight. EMS abilities, perfect precognition in battle, no blindness or strain from usage. Access to a unique Suzogen genjutsu, so powerful it can rewrite memories or replace others in temporary illusions of destiny. They see a future where Naruto always wins. Rinnegan abilities, all 6 paths techniques. Basic shared vision if clones or toads are summoned. Passive chakra absorption. Special to Suzogen, chakra weaving, Naruto can briefly fuse 2 jutsu instantly, for example fire wind equals burning cyclone. Truth perception, he can sense emotional intent and see destiny threads linking people/events. Seal mastery, Fuinjutsu becomes second nature, as if born with scrolls etched into his soul. Copy and evolve, can see and replicate any elemental jutsu or taijutsu at twice the speed of the Sharingan, including Kekkei Genkai techniques if the target's chakra is present. Once copied, the jutsu adapts and improves when Naruto reuses it. Alright, let's get back to this awesome what if. By the way, I'll probably have Naruto fully unlock it when he's on the wave mission. Konoha Academy grounds. Morning. The warm sun spilled over the academy grounds, where dozens of bright-eyed academy students gathered. The air buzzed with laughter, nervous excitement, and Iruka-sensei's voice trying, and mostly failing, to keep the chaos contained. All right. Settle down, everyone." Iruka clapped his hands. "Today's a special day. We're having our first chakra and coordination day. That means you get to show off all that training you've been doing at home." Naruto stood proudly near the front, bouncing on his heels. His headband-less blonde hair shimmered in the light, and his wide blue eyes gleamed with anticipation. "This is gonna be awesome." He turned to Sasuke with a big grin. "You ready to lose?" Sasuke just and folded his arms. In the crowd, clan parents and Jonin spectated from the sidelines. Kushina Uzumaki stood next to Mikoto and Itachi Uchiha, arms crossed and grinning with pride. "He's gonna surprise them," she said while waving and smiling at Naruto. Itachi would be watching his brother, a light smile on his face as he watched him. "Don't count Sasuke out yet, Ms. Uzumaki." Mikoto slightly smirked, keeping her eyes on Sasuke. "Itachi is right, Kushina." Event 1, the Leaf and Balance Obstacle Course. Iruka explained, "Each of you will place a leaf on your forehead. You have to keep it balanced while running across planks, hopping posts, and landing targets. Chakra control and focus. Ready?" Most kids stumbled by the second post. Kiba's leaf flew off immediately. Ino shrieked as she nearly fell into water. Shikamaru walked the whole thing muttering, "Troublesome." But when it was Naruto's turn, no one was ready for it. He darted forward, arms back, wind rushing against his face. The leaf stayed firmly on his forehead. Each footstep landed perfectly, as if the course guided him instead of the other way around. When he landed on the target and struck a grin, even Iruka blinked. What the? Did you teach him that already? Mikado asked. No, Kushina said with a slight smile. She was proud of her Naru-chan. That was all him. Event 2, Sparring Challenge. Next up, randomized 2 vs 2 sparring to build coordination and reaction time. Team 3, Naruto and Hinata. Hinata turned a bright red. She didn't expect that she would be on a team with her crush. Team 7, Kiba and Shikamaru. Naruto turned to Hinata with a big grin. Don't worry, we got this. She would only nod, hiding behind her bangs. The whistle blew. Kiba charged immediately, while Shikamaru moved to the flank with a hand sign. Naruto waited. His body buzzed. Something in his vision sharpened. Time slowed just a bit. He could feel where Shikamaru's shadow would move. A rock near his foot. Naruto picked it up and hurled it. Thunk. It hit Shikamaru in the chest, causing him to fall over and groan out. This is such a drag. Meanwhile, Hinata had activated her gentle fist and slammed her palms into his stomach, causing him to get sent flying with a yelp. Point. Team 3. Everyone clapped for the team. The Hyuga heir and the golden child of Konoha was an unexpected team-up, but it worked. Aftermath. The event ended in cheerful applause. Parents clapped. Kids surrounded Naruto and Hinata. That was awesome. You threw that rock like you knew it would hit. Do you have the Sharingan or something? Naruto laughed nervously. Nah. Just got lucky. But in the shadows, Hiruzen Sarutobi watched from afar. He had felt something flicker, an immense chakra pulse for just a moment when Naruto threw that rock. You felt it too, Jigi? Kushina said as she walked up behind him. She looked confused but proud. I did. The Sandaime murmured. There's more to Naruto than any of us realize. He's my son, so of course he's gonna be awesome. Scene change, Uzumaki compound, night. Later that evening, as Naruto sat on the Uzumaki compound staring at the sky, he yawned and leaned back. His eyes fluttered half shut. And for just a second, the faintest ripple of silver lavender light danced across his irises. Flicker. Then it was gone. Naruto scratched his head. Huh. Weird. Kushina's voice called from inside, Naru-chan. Bedtime. Coming. He grinned and ran inside. 7 years later. Summary of the lost time. In the 7 years since that unforgettable birthday, Naruto Uzumaki's life became a unique blend of normal and extraordinary. While the world saw a cheerful academy student with big dreams and a bigger appetite, only a select few knew just how much was growing beneath the surface. Naruto still attended the ninja academy like any other kid. He pulled pranks, especially on Iruka, struggled through boring lectures, and made tons of friends, including Shikamaru, Choji, Kiba, and even began to form a complicated rivalry with Sasuke. His days were filled with laughter, ramen, tree climbing competitions, and the occasional detention. Despite being a handful, he earned the respect of his classmates with his relentless energy and growing skills. But after school hours, that's when Naruto's second life began. Guided by Kushina, Naruto trained in secret with the gifts he received at his birthday. He studied the Uzumaki Fuinjutsu books Volume 1 to 10, learning to respect and control the ancient sealing arts of his clan. What began with frustration and inky scribbles eventually turned into complex barrier seals, chakra chains, and explosive tags crafted by his own hands. Sealing scrolls lined the walls of his room like posters, each one a milestone of his growth. He also trained with the Crimson Fang, the ancestral blade forged by Uzumaki hands. Though it had yet to fully awaken, Naruto forged a connection with it, learning sword discipline, chakra channeling, and emotional focus, all taught by his mother, who told him, "This blade will respond when you fight not just with strength, but with heart." And when he wasn't training or at the academy, Naruto was just a kid. He played, joked, laughed, and lived. Sleepovers at Shikamaru's house, ramen challenges with Choji, racing Kiba and Akamaru around the village. Naruto's life was full of the warmth and chaos of growing up. Morning of the Junon exams. Golden light spilled through the Uzumaki compound, just as it did 7 years ago. Naruto stirred in his bed, eyes blinking open to the warm morning glow. He felt it again. He hasn't had any conversations with Hagoromo and his family, but he could feel them watching. The smell of miso soup and grilled fish snapped Naruto out of his thoughts. Naru-chan. Kushina's voice rang out, warm and proud. Time to wake up, it's the big day. Junon exams. Naruto blinked, then grinned. He sat up, scratched his head, and whispered to himself. Time to show them what Uzumaki Naruto can really do. He leapt out of bed, heart pounding. Today wasn't just another day. It was the beginning of everything. Naruto descended the stairs quickly, still fastening his academy pouch. Kushina placed a hearty breakfast on the table, which was fried rice, miso soup, and tamagoyaki with Naruto's favorite, sweet soy drizzle. "Eat up, or you'll pass out mid-jutsu," Kushina warned, sitting beside him. Naruto inhaled his food, nerves and excitement bubbling. "You ready?" she asked after he finished. He nodded as he swallowed the rest of his food. "Yeah. I've been ready." Kushina ruffled his hair while smiling. "Remember what I said, don't hold back, but don't show everything. Save your aces." Naruto smirked. "Hey! Got it, Mom." Scene change, at the academy. The classroom was loud as usual, chatter filling the air as students crowded around friends. Sasuke leaned against the wall, arms crossed, eyes locking with Naruto the moment he stepped in. "Took you long enough, Uzumaki." Naruto laughed, causing Sasuke to slightly smirk. "Please, I was up before you. You probably fixed your hair for half an hour." Sasuke rolled his eyes though his smirk stayed. "DCH. Whatever." Hinata gave Naruto a small wave, blushing when he waved back. Shikamaru was already half asleep. Choji snacked on chips while Ino tried to gossip with Sakura, who was about to pass. Iruka entered the room with clipboard in hand. "All right everyone, settle down. Today's a big day. Those who pass the graduation test will officially become Genin. The rest, well, you'll be back here next year." He smiled encouragingly, but his eyes scanned them seriously. "It won't be easy. Chakra control, ninjutsu, physical ability, and mental aptitude, everything counts today." Naruto clenched his fists in excitement. "This is it. This is my moment." Naruto stood with his classmates in the practice yard behind the academy, lined up beneath the morning sun as Iruka and Mizuki gave out final instructions. Despite the tension, Naruto wore a confident smirk, hands behind his head in his usual relaxed posture. "All right," Iruka said, clipboard in hand, "you'll be called one by one. You'll perform the clone technique, a basic transformation, and a shuriken accuracy test. Those who pass will receive a forehead protector. The rest will try again next year." Naruto's expression hardened a little at that. He wasn't going to be a failure again. Not after all he had trained for. Not with his mom, Kakashi, and even Sasuke watching from a distance. Sasuke gave him a subtle nod, but one that spoke volumes. "You better not choke." "Clone technique exam." "Uzumaki Naruto." Mizuki called. He stepped forward, combat brimming with internal energy. His chakra was immense, but unlike before, it was steady, shaped, controlled. "Let's see the clone technique." Naruto closed his eyes, forming the cross seal. Shadow clone jutsu. In a burst of smoke, 3 perfect clones stood beside him, crisp, identical, and filled with chakra. Iruka's eyes widened, and even Mizuki flinched. That wasn't the basic illusionary clone, that was the multi-shadow clone jutsu. Perfect. Iruka blinked. "You pass with flying colors." Naruto gave a small bow and smirked at the stunned Iruka, walking off with a slight grin on his face. Written in shuriken exams. He aced the chakra theory and history portions with surprising ease. Kushina made him read sealing scrolls every night after all. When the time came to throw shuriken, Naruto unleashed the same focused form Asuma taught him, burying 4 shuriken directly into the bullseye and grazing the edge of the 5th. Even Sasuke gave a subtle nod of respect from the sidelines. By the end of the exam rounds, Naruto stood among those with a forehead protector in his palm. He grinned widely, staring down at it with trembling fingers. "I did it." Graduation room, afternoon. Iruka clapped his hands once the class had quieted again. "Congrats to all who passed. Tomorrow, you'll meet your new Jonin squad leaders." The newly minted Genin buzzed with excitement. Naruto leaned back in his seat, his protector now tied around his forehead with pride. Scene change, Uzumaki compound. That night, Kushina had waited by the window all day. When she finally saw Naruto walking through the compound gates with the leaf headband protector tied proudly across his brow, her heart swelled. "Naru-chan," she whispered, hand over her heart. Naruto opened the door just in time for a flying tackle hug. "You did it," she yelled, squeezing the life out of him. "Hey, Mom. Can't breathe." She let out, eye shimmering. "You're officially a Genin. Gods, I'm so proud of you." Naruto grinned and held up the headband. "I told you I'd do it." Kushina already had a surprise ready. This time it wasn't ramen cake, but a home-cooked celebratory meal with grilled fish with sweet miso based on kotsu ramen, and a tiny red and gold cake with a kunai-shaped candle. They sat together on the floor, laughing and eating. She gave him a small gift. It was a pendant that her great-grandmother gave her, which was shaped like the Uzumaki spiral, meant to bring luck and protection. "This belonged to your great-great-grandmother," she said softly, smiling as she put it in his hands. "Now it's yours, Naru-chan." Naruto clutched it tightly. "Thanks, Mom." When the celebration ended and the dishes were put away, Kushina sat with him under the stars in the compound courtyard. "You're strong, Naruto," she said, brushing his hair back. "But don't carry everything alone, okay? You're not the Nine Tails. You're my son. You're loved." Naruto didn't respond at first, he just leaned into her side, the stars twinkling overhead. "I'll make you proud. I promise." A beautiful image of mother and son sitting under the stars. What they couldn't see is that the soul of Minato was behind them, joining in on their little hug with a smile on his face. "I'm proud of you, son." Naruto heard a voice that wasn't his mother's, and it felt nice and comforting, and all he could do was smile and be ready and happy for tomorrow. Scene change, Academy, morning. The sun rose lazily over the hidden leaf, casting soft beams of light through the academy windows as chatter filled the classroom. Naruto entered, hands behind his head, a sleepy but proud grin on his face. He glanced around, nodding to Shikamaru, bumping fists with Kiba, then slid into a seat beside Sasuke like it was any other day. "Morning, team." Sasuke smirked. "Took you long enough, Dobe." They didn't need to exchange more than that, they understood each other. They were rivals, yes, but somewhere in those years of sparring, training, laughing, and healing bruises together, they'd grown close. Brothers in all but blood. Across the room, Hinata sat silently with her hands tucked in her lap, stealing glances at Naruto. A warm smile tugged at her lips. He looked calm, confident. Different, in a good way. Iruka walked in, clipboard in hand. "Listen up, everyone. Today you'll be placed into 3-man squads. These teams will be your new units under a Jonin instructor, and you'll begin missions once approved." He began reading team names, and eventually Team 7, Uzumaki Naruto, Uchiha Sasuke, and Hyuga Hinata. The classroom buzzed faintly, but Naruto simply shared a quick nod with Sasuke and shot a bright smile at Hinata, who quickly ducked her head, cheeks red. Iruka gave his usual reminders and left with the other teachers, leaving Team 7 waiting in the quiet classroom. Later that afternoon. "He's late," Naruto groaned, lying back across the row of chairs with his arms crossed behind his head. "He's over 2 hours late," Sasuke muttered, eyes flickering toward the door. "At this rate, we're going to miss the mission briefing." Hinata, who had been sitting neatly with her hands in her lap, spoke up softly. "And maybe he's just testing us?" Thud. The door slowly creaked open. A tall silver-haired figure stepped in, face obscured by a mask, and his Hittite slanted over one eye. An orange book lazily held in one hand. "Yo!" Naruto ran up to their sensei, giving him a glare that held no malice behind it. "Kakashi, do I need to tell Mom about you being late again?" "No need for that, Naruto. I was just testing you all." "Yeah, that's it. Meet me up at the roof." Kakashi spoke with slight fear as he used a quick body flicker to move to the roof. Scene change, Academy rooftop. Team 7 now sat in front of Kakashi, the breeze ruffling their hair as they squinted in the sunlight. "All right," Kakashi said, closing his book. "Let's get introductions out of the way. I want your name, likes, dislikes, and your dreams for the future. Start with." He looked down the line. "You, on the right." Hinata jolted a little, then nodded quietly. "My name is Hinata Hyuga. I like herbal teas, and I enjoy training quietly. I dislike cruelty. My dream is to become strong, someone who can protect the people she loves." Naruto gave her a thumbs up and a smile. "You will, and we'll be with you the entire time, Hina-chan." She smiled faintly, hiding her blush with her jacket. Kakashi nodded. "That was good." Next, Sasuke Uchiha. "I like training, tomatoes, and sparring with certain idiots." Naruto grinned. "He means me." Sasuke ignored him, only smirking. "I dislike wasting time. And my dream," his expression sobbed for a moment, "is to restore my clan. And maybe one day, become someone worthy of protecting the village." Kakashi raised a brow behind his mask. He knew how the population dropped when Mikado and Kushina went with Itachi and slaughtered the corrupted Uchiha. He wouldn't question it any further. He would now turn to Naruto with a small sigh, though behind the mask he was smiling. "Uzumaki Naruto," he announced proudly. "I like miso ramen, my friends, and training with my mom. I don't like jerks, cowards, and traitors." Naruto met gazes with Kakashi, smiling with that bright smile he was known for. "And my dream is to become Hokage. But not just any Hokage, I'll be the strongest one ever. I'll protect everyone I care about, and make sure no one has to go through pain." Kakashi was silent for a moment, then stood with an eye smile. "All right. You're interesting. Tomorrow morning, Training Ground 7. Don't eat breakfast, or you'll throw up. Eh? What kind of training are we doing? Naruto asked, standing. Kakashi gave a wave as he walked off. Survival training. Survival? Hinata whispered. Naruto and Sasuke exchanged a look. Scene change. Next morning, Training Ground 7. The air was cool and quiet, broken only by the crunch on the grass under sandals. Naruto, Sasuke, and Hinata stood ready. None of them looked nervous. In fact, they looked prepared. Kakashi appeared in his usual casual blur, one hand in his pocket, the other holding the bells. "All right, let's begin," he said, raising the silver bells that sparkled in the sun. "There are only 2 bells," Kakashi said, dangling them in the air, the soft jingling causing tension to build. "And there are 3 of you. Whoever doesn't get a bell, fails. And gets sent back to the academy." Naruto gave him a knowing smirk. He trained with Kakashi before and they used the bell test as a form of training for an entire year. "You're still using the same tricks, huh Kakashi ni?" Kakashi's sweat dropped. He's definitely Kushina's kid. Kakashi got lost in his thoughts just a bit but he snapped himself out of it. "Oh? Think you can beat me this time?" Naruto's chakra flickered just slightly. He was calm and focused. "We're not here to beat you." Sasuke stepped up, hands in his pocket and a smirk on his face. "We're here to pass." Hinata nodded, activating her Byakugan with a quiet breath. Kakashi only smiled. In his eyes they already passed but he had to be sure. "Well, let's see it then." The test begins. Naruto moved first. It wasn't a direct attack, it was him vanishing into the trees. Hinata remained back, scanning the field with her Byakugan. She called out Kakashi's movements to Sasuke, who rushed in and kept him occupied with his clan's taijutsu, the interceptor fist. From above, Naruto dropped smoke bombs in an arc, forcing Kakashi back toward the clearing. Kakashi dodged smoothly, but the coordination was impressive. He had to admit it, they'd planned this. Naruto came down with a slice from the tanto Kakashi gifted to him. He got a clean hit on Kakashi but then, poof. Kakashi countered with a substitution and reappeared behind Naruto, grabbing him by the shoulder. "Still predictable Naruto." Naruto grinned. "Am I?" Poof. The Naruto in Kakashi's hand exploded in a puff of smoke. The real Naruto bursted from underground with a wide sweep, nearly snatching the bells off Kakashi's waist. Kakashi barely flipped out of reach, hearing the bells jingle from Naruto's touch, but he didn't notice the smirk on Naruto's face. "Okay, not bad Naruto." Naruto landed cleanly, panting lightly. "You taught me that, remember?" "Hey! I see, but as the battle wore on, things shifted. The Junon got worn out and Naruto got pinned in the dirt with Kakashi sitting on him." Kakashi now picked up Naruto, tying him to the stump as he called the other Junon to where Naruto was tied. "You improved. All 3 of you. But you were too reckless in the final charge, Naruto. You let your guard down to protect Hinata." Naruto just grinned from the rope, bruised but proud. "They're my teammates." Sasuke and Hinata moved toward him, but he just shook his head. "Eat," Naruto said firmly. "Both of you." "But," Hinata began. Naruto gave her that warm, stupidly confident smile. "Don't waste it. You'll need your strength." "I'm fine." Sasuke narrowed his eyes. "You're still an idiot." But he sat beside Naruto and opened his bento box. Hinata hesitated, then knelt beside Naruto and handed him a bit of rice anyway. "Eat this, please," she whispered. "You earned it too." Just then, Kakashi appeared from the trees, arms crossed and killer intent coming off in waves. "You." The Junon looked scared. They didn't know what would happen because they fed Naruto. "Pass." The killer intent lifted as Kakashi smiled down at them. "You worked as a team. You backed each other up. You protected one another even if it meant failing. That's what being a shinobi is all about." He looked at Naruto specifically. "You could have tried to take the bells for yourself. But you gave them a chance. You led them." Naruto grinned. "I knew you were hiding your chakra from Hinata's Byakugan, so I put my chakra in the bells so she could find you easier." Kakashi's eye widened a bit before it turned into a smile. "So that's what you did. Impressive." Kakashi untied Naruto and looked at his Junon with that same eye smile. "Welcome to Team 7.